guys today. Welcome to the Staylist webinar. Today we're going to be talking about behind the curtain and why housekeeping and maintenance are going to be hidden revenue drivers for your property. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you so we can get started. I'm super excited to talk about this today because there's so many things that we've been working on behind the scenes to make things more seamless for your properties. And this is one of them. So today's topics, we're going to talk about health and safety compliance and why that's important. I know that, some people, they might touch on it, they might not know about, the big things or the small things, but today we're going to deep dive into health and safety when it comes to your park and how it applies to your state. Upsells and how you guys can use those when it comes to housekeeping and maintenance, whether you know about them or not, just ways to drive your bottom line, little ancillary revenue streams to be able to add, some financial backing, maybe to cover employment costs or just to drive revenue in general. Employee empowerment. Obviously, we love to continue to give our employees all the control that they can have when it comes to our property. So we're going to be diving into that. And then lastly, how to drive 5-star reviews. We always talk about something marketing and how that's going to make your park better and more seamless through this process. So today, why housekeeping and maintenance matters. So they directly influence guest satisfaction, compliance, revenue, and health and safety standards when it comes to your employees, your guests, and all of your facilities through the park. So I love, talking about this topic because I feel like it's something that we don't talk about all the time as property, managers, operators, owners. And so today, that's really what we're going to dive into. So when you think about, a dirty room, a dirty floor, a dirty bathroom, a main office, all of these different locations really drive guest satisfaction. So if you have one dirty floor, one dirty towel, that's going to be a bad review, a bad referral, a lost guest, maybe a refund. All of these things can end up, making a giant impact on our operations and negatively influence us online, which is a big driver for our business. So your team's work is your reputation. So no matter in what scale or aspect that they're doing or where they're at in your park, whether they're fixing a pedestal, they're changing a breaker out, they're mopping a floor, they're checking someone in, how they treat your guests, how they respond to situations is obviously going to be a reputation of you, your park, and how you operate. And then lastly, not just cleaning your room, but you're building a brand. So no matter from, the biggest issue to the smallest issue throughout your park, you fixing those, being attentive, making sure that that is, high on your priority list to be a safety and compliance standard for your property, creating these SOPs, putting them in place, having your employees really drive that is all going to create your brand and obviously make your park, your property even better than it was before.
Thanks. Courtney, I'm going to pause you right here because we're going to just do a quick poll. We've been,
Yes.
just looking to make things more engaging for everybody. So I'm going to launch a quick poll real quick just to see why housekeeping and maintenance matters. Like, how would you rate the impact of your housekeeping and maintenance teams have on guest satisfaction? One, is it huge? They're on their frontline heroes. Two, we do good work, but could be more consistent. Three, we haven't made the connection yet. And four is not sure. We're asking these polls just because there's not a lot of research done on this. And so we'd love to be able to hear from you all, like, what issues are you facing, or, is it a huge, and just being able to kind of give that back to the community.
Exactly. Yeah. Guest satisfaction is obviously the key driver to our business. So really understanding, you as a park operator, owner, property manager, just looking at it and saying, this is what we're going to change, or this is what we, have been blind to, and really just taking a step back, and looking at it as a whole. So we'd really appreciate your responses. And then we will, after we get this, we'll get going with health and safety compliance. Just give them a few seconds to respond.
Yeah.
And I think you can see it from your end. So just tell me the thumbs up when you're good to go.
I think we're good.
Perfect. And I'll just keep talking through it too. So health and safety compliance. Every state is going to have a different standard when it comes to health and safety. So South Carolina's we call it Department of DHEC. And they come out and they really nail you and grill you and look at your property from the inside to the outside, up and down, left and right. And even when it comes to all of your rooms, you need to make sure that you're in this safety and compliance standard of providing a health and safety aspect for your guests, making sure that, all of your regulations are covered, your boxes are checked, and that you're really doing your due diligence as a property owner manager to be able to make sure that those health codes are put into place because they're not optional. They are required for you to stay open. And if you are not compliant, then you will not remain open. I can't even tell you how many stories I've heard about OSHA coming in because of a slip and fall, or, a restaurant being shut down because they're not up to health and safety compliance standards, or even, vacation rentals that are closed down because they're not clean. They're not up to the standards and the par of what they're supposed to be on property. So what inspectors look for, obviously clean linens when it comes to your rooms. You have to have proof though. You can't just say, oh, yes, we do this, or this is what we do here. You have to actually go through this checklist and say, this is what I have. This is what I'm providing. This is what my employees are doing to be able to provide that satisfaction and that compliance standard when it comes to health and safety. Bed bugs. How many times have we heard about bed bugs? We walk into a hotel, we look underneath the bed, we're like, oh, I don't know. Immediately, from the moment you walk in, if you're in a clean space or not. And that's what these health and safety standards provide for you. Next is smoke detectors. Obviously, even in our houses, whether you have young children, old children, or it's just you by yourself, you want to make sure that you have the proper smoke detectors to be able to obviously relay if there's a problem or situation going on inside. And then sanitation logs. So whether they're in your bathhouses, they're in your kitchens, they're in your rooms, that you are checking the boxes and making sure that you're complying and doing what you're supposed to do. So we have actually created, let's see if I can get out of that. We still see this, Bree?
Yes.
Perfect. So this is going to be a health and safety checklist, whether it's a sleeping area, a bathroom, electrical and fire safety, a kitchenette, HVAC. All of this is going to be listed for you here, and we're providing this from Staylist to your property to be able to provide a source of resources for you to be able to check those boxes and make sure that you're doing everything that you can. On top of all of the housekeeping that is provided for you through Staylist, we want to make sure that on the back end in the field that your staff has this readily available and able to answer questions, do what they're supposed to do, and really make sure that you're dotting your I's and crossing your T's to make sure that you do pass all those inspections. And I love this topic of conversation, right? We talk about disinfectants. I'm probably going to rock a lot of boats when I say this, but let me tell you, Fabuloso and Pine Sol are not disinfectants. They might smell good. You might put them in your property because you're like, it's going to smell clean, but smells nice does not equal clean. You really have to follow EPA registered disinfectants within all of your locations to make sure that you are properly running all the channels to make sure that your health and safety compliance is actually intact. Obviously here, we've provided for you, what main ingredients, what you have to look for, dangers when it comes to certain ingredients in all of these disinfectants, because you want to make sure that you maintain the proper safety standards for your employees. And the training has to start with you. You have to make sure that you take these considerations, train your staff accordingly, and really set them up for success. Because when your staff is set up for success, you're set up for your success, your guests are, your rooms are, your facilities are, and then ultimately that'll drive revenue and, obviously having guests come back because clean means safe, not just tidy. And so that's something that we really want to drive home here and just make sure that all of these things are really provided for you. And so that you touch on all these points whenever you take a step back and look at your housekeeping and how you're doing things properly. Daily checklist. So you want to provide on top of all of these things when it comes to following all these rules and regulations, but checklists for your employees to complete by the end of their shift or the end of their day, or however you run your business. One practice that I use is all of my housekeepers have their own set of utensils. They have all of their cleaning products, and it's really checked off. When they come in the morning, they make sure that they have X, Y, and Z. They're set up for success so that when they go out into the field, they don't have to keep coming back for more things. They are make sure that, we are DHEC compliant and that they check all of the boxes. So if we were to have a surprise visit, that we know that we're going to pass. We know that we're going to be clean. We know that even though we might not smell like Fabuloso, we smell like we are a clean facility. And that's really a top driver for our success. Improve turnover, speed, and consistency. Obviously, if you have these checklists, then your employees are able to look and maintain the standard that you're trying to provide throughout your entire park. Increases in guest readiness and avoid missed tasks. So that's one thing that's great about the Staylist platform is you can set, priorities, and maybe you have certain locations that you want to, as a manager, to go back and look and check before you mark this as clean. And through Staylist, you actually have that capability to do so. So it's just the little things that with the optimization and being able to tweak as a property owner manager, to be able to provide that for your staff and your guest, so that that your cleanliness is top notch and that you're on par with the standards that you want to provide. And obviously smooth back-to-back check-ins. So we all want that, priority turnover, that, that seamless guest experience wherein they come in, then that you're not going to have any calls, complaints, because that your staff in the middle of peak seasons, even slow seasons, that they're doing what they're supposed to, and they're complying to the health and safety standards that you've put into place. So here, again, we have also provided for you a guest room cleaning checklist for you guys to provide to your housekeeping staff. This here is just so that you can make sure that all of these areas, whether you have, a big room, a small room, multi-rooms, that they are sanitized, disinfected, and really meet all of those standards. So these will all be provided for you. And obviously the health and safety standards for even other locations throughout your park, common areas, these are all going to be provided for you after the webinar. And we really hope you guys put them to use. Our team worked very hard on these, and just being able to provide you with some sort of tangible copies for you to bring out into the field, start writing your SOPs so that you have a successful team is top priority for us as well. So since I touched on all of these different ways that we're going to use and provide for you, I'm going to pop it over to Chace, and he's going to show you through the housekeeping module, through Staylist, what you guys can actually take away, learn, and bring back to your daily. Chace?
Thank you very much. I'm going to start sharing my screen, and then just let me know whenever you guys see it.
We see it.
All right, perfect. So whenever you first click into housekeeping, in this particular demo account, it only has my cabins, but you're able to also have markable under housekeeping, RV sites, golf carts, really anything you could ever want inside of Staylist. And there's 3 different ways you can sort it right off the bat: by unit, by turn, which turn means someone checking out and into the same cabin today, and then also by its status, occupied, clean, so on and so forth. So to show you the full functionality and sort of the automation behind this, let's look at our check-ins and checkouts today. So we can see that we have the green cabin being checked into, and it has a red X next to it, and that means it's not ready to be checked into. And under the brown cabin, you'll see that it has a green check mark, so that one is good to go. And these right here, the green cabin reservations, these are that turn. So whenever I mark this green cabin as checked out in the system, if we go back to housekeeping, now it shows that that is dirty. So then we can go back, and maybe we want to mark it as pending so a manager can go back and check on it. And when we do that, you'll see we get a notification at the top, hey, there's one that's pending and it needs approval. And then once it has been cleaned and we can mark it as clean and good to go, then when we go back and look, we'll see now the green cabin is good to go. So the other side of the automation, now that we've marked in Tom Smith, he's checked in, good to go, we can go back to housekeeping and it is marked as occupied. So clean, dirty, occupied, or pending. With pending, you would have the notification at the top, and then always at check-in, it's going to let you know if they are ready or not. The other side of this, you can look at just the arrivals. And of course, you can sort by any of these columns. The turn is that check-in and check-out on the same day. You can look at departures. So this was that cabin that we just checked out. And then going to give a little sneak preview on this one. There's some development coming on this where you can actually assign particular units to particular users, which this is a drop-down menu showing all of the different users. But a little sneak peek on this. There's also a housekeeping assignment portal you can go into, but just something to show you what's coming. But that's pretty much the gist of it. Automation, showing if it's clean, letting you know if it's a turn. And yeah, so with that, I will pass it back to you.
Fantastic. Thank you. I will go ahead and share my screen again. So obviously, we talk about health and safety standards. We talk about employment, and how, you want them to be able to uphold your SOPs, your standard operating procedures, and make sure that they are in compliance with all of that. But on top of that, we want to talk about how housekeeping and maintenance are actually secret revenue drivers. So these are things that we don't think about as operators, right? You think about nightly stays or extra add-ons that you can have, like site guarantee or golf cart rentals. But in the backside of things, you have to think of what can I do to cover employment costs? What can I do to drive, simple ancillary revenues that are going to affect my bottom line, to maybe put an additional $10, $50, $100,000 on my financials so that I can really, expand, maybe add a new bathhouse or add another vacation rental or upgrade all of my rooms. These are things that you have to take into consideration when it comes to growing your business. So upsells that you can do when it comes to, the housekeeping side or the maintenance side even, are going to be priority check-in. So obviously we talked about this a little bit when it came to RV sites, but when it comes to rooms, you have to turn rooms. We all know we have to turn rooms. But if you have 100, rooms or 100 units that you have to turn, maybe in 2 hours, that you can turn 10. So maybe we charge $50 for a priority check-in, and that those rooms or those units are going to be ones that you turn first. So instead of a 4 o'clock check-in, maybe you have a 1 o'clock check-in, and those 10 families get to come in early at a fee because you were able to turn those rooms quickly, efficiently, and to the standard that you want to provide for your guest. Being able to scale when it comes to your own property, and looking at it as a whole, taking a step back and saying, what can I do to provide a better service? One, because we know that an early check-in is providing your guest with a longer experience at your park, a better experience on your property, and just a way to enhance that guest experience and make them want to stay longer and come back again. So really looking at that and saying, what can I do in a period of 1 to 2 hours to be able to provide this for my guest is a good place to start. The second one is a cleaning fee. In my opinion, this is a no-brainer. If you have anything that you're cleaning, whether it's a room or a 14-person beach house on the ocean, you can do a cleaning fee. Maybe you do one set price. Maybe it's $100 for a cleaning fee. Maybe you do it based off of size of your unit. If you have one that sleeps 2 bedroom or one that sleeps 2 people to one that sleeps 6, maybe you up the price a little bit. But if you do not have a cleaning fee set in place, number one, if they're angry with something, let's just say that you didn't realize that the bathroom was out of toilet paper, which that should never happen. But if you didn't have extra underneath the sink and they're a little mad about it, well, instead of actually dipping into your revenue that you're making on that room or on that site, then you take that cleaning fee, you refund that cleaning fee because essentially it's free money, right? So you're looking at different ways to have this ancillary revenue to boost your bottom line, to be able to provide that guest satisfaction and to not hurt, your actual site nights or your room nights when it comes to your bottom line. Second would be linen fees. So I know a lot of people are like, well, I allow people to bring their own linens. From experience, per all the research that I've done within my career, is that is a big no-no. And I know people say, well, I don't have the staff or I don't have the time. Well, the thing is we need to make staff and we need to make the time because when people bring their own linens from their houses, then one, they could potentially bring in bed bugs. Two, you don't know how clean these people are. You don't know if they rip these sheets off of their beds and they're bringing them, putting them on your beds in your property. So providing the service of having linens, you know the cleanliness of them, you know where they're coming from. And the thing is if you provide a linen fee, then that is you taking place of an employee and being able to supplement that income from that employment cost. So adding these little fees here, can make up maybe 1 to 2. So if you have, $100, let's say linens, or maybe they want another set of linens and then you charge them an additional $25. There are different ways for you to add these types of revenue streams to be able to, make housekeeping and maintenance an actual revenue driver instead of just one that, has to sit on your bottom line. And last is firewood delivery, and I didn't put in this on, and I just thought about it, but even fire pits, right? You have maybe a fire pit or fire ring, one that they can use on their site, or, on their back deck or in the lawn or something, where they can, your maintenance team can provide that service for them. And that's just one extra step in the guest experience, throughout your park or your property. So,
I'm gonna,
obviously, we know.
oh,
Sorry.
Courtney, I'm gonna stop you right there and just
No,
pop
you're
in
fine.
one poll. Just because we're just talking about upsells and, just kind of figuring out, do the people on the call upsell charges on your property for rooms? Like, does it help your bottom line? Have you thought about it, don't know where to start, or you're just not sure about them? You gave some great examples on how to do it and just kind of wanted to see what the people on the call are.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, this is one of my favorite things to talk about because I think sometimes people get a little nervous, when I meet one-on-one with properties, they're like, well, I don't know, I don't want a nickel and dime. The thing is this is becoming an industry standard, right? You go book on Airbnb, what are you going to pay? You're going to pay a cleaning fee. You just know it's going to happen. So you might as well take that, put it into your property, to be able to really maximize everything that you can with these upsells, and really drive your revenue as your park. So yes, they can help your bottom line. Have you thought about it? Are you scared? That's okay. Let's chat about it. And if you're unsure, let's chat about it some more so that I can help you find and be that number or that letter A answer with the yes and the exclamation point.
Awesome. And here everyone's participated. So I'll just share results real quick of some people are doing it, some people aren't. And so if you're Courtney's a great resource as she's run a park. She is very knowledgeable about it. So please, her email address is actually what sent out the webinar. So please reach out to her if you have any questions. Set up a time with her.
Yes, for sure. So we'll get back into it. So priority turnover strategy. So operational ROI, clean, maintain room. If you have one that is cleaned and maintained, guess what? That means that you are keeping up with it. You don't have to spend an exorbitant amount of hours re-cleaning it, because you know that your strategy, you know that your SOPs are in place, and you know that you can turn this room quickly. Less damage equals less cost. Obviously, we know that, right? So if we know that making sure that everything is in its right place, we know that we are, thoroughly checking all of these properties, all of these locations, and making sure that they are exactly how, we present it to our guest, then that's going to be less cost on our end. And then positive reviews equal positive bookings. Like I said at the beginning, you walk into, a hotel and you know immediately what you're getting, right? If you know it kind of smells like cigarette smoke, you're like, I don't know if I want to stay here. If you, go to the counter and it's not wiped down, you probably are going to expect your rooms to be the exact same way. Same thing when you walk into a vacation rental, right? If you notice that the front porch isn't swept off, you're like, oh no, that means that there's going to be so much dirt trucked in, to, this property. And then that you're doomed from the start, right? So train your team to turn, upgrade, and provide premiums first. So obviously we want to, upsell our most expensive units, right? Our most expensive rooms. We really want to push that to our guests so that we know that all of the ones that we have, set as a priority are getting booked first. And then you can turn, all that money that you made on these premiums and take that money and put it back into your maybe not so premiums. And then be able to take that ancillary revenue and be able to put that back into those sites as well. So added revenue obviously helps staff as well, because on high turnover days, if you have all of these things set into place on a given Saturday, we have 100 units, Saturday bookings, right? So we're flipping, 75 to 100 units on one Saturday. And so we need to make sure that our staff is ready, set to go, and is ready for success. And we really do take that priority check-in seriously, because number one, that helps staff, right? You don't all have this same time that you have to get them done. So if you set the standard of these are my priorities, this is what I'm doing first, because the guests paid for those, then what a better way to influence your staff to obviously work more efficiently, to work as a team, and to obviously provide the standard that you're looking for. So empower your staff. We've talked about this several times, but it doesn't just have to be your housekeeping and maintenance staff that you're empowering, right? Maybe you have your front office staff that's going down, and they notice that there's a loose handrail, or there's water damage when they go and provide guest feedback, or somebody calls to the front office and they're like, hey, like, we don't have any lights in the bathroom because the bulb's out. These are all ways that you can empower your staff to go above and beyond. Maybe your staff drives around on golf carts, right? And it's your recreation team hosting an event, and they see trash on the road, and your recreation staff knows to stop and pick up the trash on the road, because you're setting the quality, you're setting the standard, because, housekeeping and maintenance go all the way around. We want to make sure that we're providing that service, no matter what department we're in, to provide the housekeeping and maintenance feel or look, or even just team camaraderie that, we're working as a team. And reward. So one of my favorite things to do, and some of you may laugh at this, but sometimes you don't know what your staff does in the field, right? You provide these checklists, and they say, yes, I cleaned this unit, or yes, I cleaned this bathhouse. But the thing is you don't know, right? You're just taking them, you go and look, you're like, oh, it's clean. It smells clean. All the surface things were done. But what about behind the toilet? Or what about in the grimy, ness of the showers behind? Or, are they sweeping in between, the cabinet in the refrigerator? Like, all of these things, might not be something that you think about every day. Because how many times do we deep clean our houses, right? But the thing is when you have these places, you have to deep clean them like their houses every time they're turned. So what we've done is we have put a $100 bill behind a toilet. And then we see how long it takes a staff member to find that $100 bill. Number one, that's a reward, right? And so then they take the time. If they find it immediately, you're like, wow, I'm doing a great job managing my housekeeping staff and my maintenance staff. If it takes them 2 weeks to find the $100 bill, guess what's not being successful? Your housekeeping and maintenance staff, because it shouldn't take that long to find the $100 bill that you're hiding in these places that should be cleaned every single time. So you're trying to find these reinforcements, these rewards, this encouragement for your staff to be like, hey, look, Kim found the $100 and I put it there this morning, and she found it within 3 hours because Kim's doing her job and she's cleaning the units exactly how they're supposed to be cleaned. So you're trying to find these little ways to be able to, make sure that you're following through with your staff, and you're encouraging them to continue to do a great job, is obviously key to success. So role of maintenance work orders. There's something that we've put into Staylist that's going to be a game changer when it comes to maintenance and work orders. Because, what's one thing that we do when we're driving through our property? What do we always do? We take pictures, right? You can send, a text, and you can say to your maintenance manager that, let's just say the bench is broken, where the kids are fishing off the pond, right? The thing is he's gonna be like, what bench? We have like 12 of them, So if you take pictures, you know that you can put it into this work order so that your big problems become little problems and that you can track these. You can make sure that, they are compliant, and you can make sure that they're checking the boxes and making sure that that your staff is doing what they're supposed to do. The work orders come with numbers, and they're obviously in numerical order. So you can make sure that you're tracking them and they're doing exactly what they're supposed to do, completing them in a timely manner. And even with your front desk staff, right? Somebody calls up, and how are you going to track that? They're saying, oh, I don't have water at site 113. Well, if they don't write 113 down, if they don't log it, then it's not going to get done. It's not going to get completed. Making sure that your staff, your front office staff, does their due diligence to create the work orders for your maintenance staff is going to make a world of difference, a world of compliance, and it's going to make it effortless when it comes to running your property. So they also create paper trails, right? Liability protection. You know that it was noted, it was your staff is held accountable. You know that, it's created and done in the time that you want it. Budget planning. So, we all talk about in the off season of, how we're going to put money back into our properties. But the thing is if you spend too much money during your season because you didn't uphold these standards in the off season, then you're going to be spending more money, right? We want to make sure that our maintenance budget is kept low because we're fixing the small problems when they happen so that we don't create big problems later. It's one thing that we always, have to look at as property, managers, operators, owners, and say, what are we doing? Why am I putting hundreds of thousands of dollars back into my property, when we're closed, when I could have fixed that bench, I could have fixed that picnic table, I could have fixed that railing whenever they were happening so that you didn't have to redo the whole thing later. Really just taking a step back and saying, hey, let's budget ourselves accordingly so that we can, show the volume, we can show staff accountability and make sure that we're actually doing our due diligence of what we're supposed to do. So now, oh, that's Breeze. I'm going to pop to you, Chace, and I'm going to have you show us all of the new features when it comes to maintenance and how that's going to directly affect our properties.
Fantastic, fantastic. All righty. So whenever you click on the maintenance module, you will see all of the incomplete, in progress, and pending review maintenance orders. You can always go back and look at those that are complete as well. But these will show the ones currently in progress. And let's start off and let's actually put one in together. So like everywhere else in Staylist, you'll just go up to the plus icon and you can select from all of the different units in your system. But if it is not something that's a unit, like North Bathhouse, for example, that's perfectly fine. We'll click Save. And we can start it with incomplete. If you want to, you can assign it to a particular user. So we'll assign it to myself. And the scheduled date is default of when you make this, but if you want to schedule it in the future, perfectly fine. And then description. So let's say stall on the left has major water issue. Perfectly fine. Then we'll jump over to pictures. And here is where we can add in different photos, which I'm going to use my Staylist branded photos for this, which is just an icon of a trailer, but it just shows you can upload any image that you would like. Now we'll go ahead and save it, and it's in there. You can go back and sort by all of the different columns that you see, who it's assigned to, so you can see how many each different user has open, or I like to do the created so you can see the fresh always at the top. You could print these out as well. You can also export this list, but to print the main whole list as well, you click right there. Then give the sheet to your whole maintenance staff if maybe they're not too tech savvy and want to operate in the system itself. But you can make as many work orders as you'd like, assign them to as many people as you'd like, upload as many photos as you'd like. And yeah, that's about the extent of maintenance orders in Staylist. So I'll pass it back to you guys.
Thanks, Chace. So obviously we know that when systems like this are in place, then we stop reacting and we start optimizing, right? We make sure that we are ready, set to go for what we want our success to be, and how we want to obviously provide that to our guests. So piggybacking on all of that, now we're going to talk about some marketing tactics, techniques, and industry information that Bree's going to provide for us when it comes to how we do our operations.
Yeah, hi everyone. As you all know, it always comes back to marketing. I'm kidding, of course, but it does feel like that. But I have the privilege of doing social media for some RV parks prior to my work here, and every time I post like a review on their Facebook or on their social media, it always circles back to how clean the park was and how it made them feel while they were there. So when we think about marketing, we think about picture ad campaigns, social posts, these beautiful websites. But like as I was just saying, like that most powerful thing that we can use is housekeeping and maintenance. We think of it as an operational task, but it's actually a marketing strategy. 81% of travelers read reviews before booking. And the very first thing they're looking for is cleanliness and star rating. With Google's new tools, like they're able to update and only filter out by like 4.0 or above. So if you have been dinged for, not being clean or people being just upset with refunds or things like that, it can automatically prevent you from being pulled to the top of that list. And so with that, that means like every cabin clean, every fresh sheet, every well-kept restroom is just a chance to earn one more five-star review, an opportunity to prevent a refund and to spark a referral. Um, and so with that, like, we can move on to the next one. Sorry. So with that, like with the Google gods, as I like to say, housekeeping maintenance directly affect it. So instead of, I think it's important to empower your housekeeping team and your maintenance team that they are more than just operational. Like they are the face of the park and they are basically your reputation builders. And their role is just as important as your sales team, as your marketing team, because that is what people feel once they're at your park. They
Right.
feel the cleanliness, they feel the cared forness, like that's the things that help get reviews, help keep refunds low, and help people keep brand reputation up so they keep referring you. So encourage your team. You're not making a bed or cleaning a restroom. You're building the brand. So when you go to a park, you want a clean restroom. Like you're not just going to have like I know cleaning the toilet sucks, but like it's more than just cleaning a toilet. It's building the brand.
Right. And, all of that goes into guest retention, right? We want to make sure that retention is high, that we keep these people coming back again, time and time again, so that they get to experience and continue to experience our parks. So that's why these are the best practices, right? Health and safety compliance, they drive our business success. You follow up with those checklists and those guidelines that we have provided for you. Really take them in to your parks, into your properties, and use them to the highest capability that they can. Do your research, go on to your state's websites and figure out what you're missing, where you might fall short, and how you can make your property better. Upsell on these revenue drivers. Bottom line, guest satisfaction, employment costs, all of these things as an operator, owner, manager that we really want to take into consideration to be able to grow and expand and, eventually at the end of the day, sit back and relax because we know that we are doing a good job and a job well done. So empower employees, we have touched on that 100 times. Like Bree was saying, just because you clean a toilet, that does not mean that you are not important because the first thing that people call, right, is the front desk. But when there's an issue, who do they call? They call housekeeping or maintenance. And who goes down to that site or that room or that vacation rental? Housekeeping and maintenance. Those are the people who are on the ground running, that they are the ones that are breaking their backs to make sure that the guests are having the kind of experience that they need, that they deserve, and that they're going to come back wanting more of. And last, clean rooms equal fewer refunds and more referrals. So just make sure that you guys are checking that list and making sure that you're doing everything that you need to do to make your business successful. So lastly, we're going to close out with our Q&A. These small operational tweaks equal big payoffs. Use what Staylist has provided for you to be able to use that optimization, do it smarter, use the tools, and just really drive success when it comes to your park. You have any questions?
Yeah, and put the chat questions in the chat or in the Q&A.
Perfect. Thanks, Scott, for your comment. Appreciate it. Sean, we see your question and we will look into that and see.
I'm responding right now via
Okay, perfect.
writing it because I just got a response from our tech team.
Fantastic. Love that. Any other additional questions, comments? Like Bree was saying earlier, if you are interested in any of this and you want to talk about these revenue drivers or ways that you need to be trained on the housekeeping and maintenance modules and tools that Chace showed us today through Staylist, then don't hesitate to reach out to me. Let's chat and really deep dive into your business and how we can drive more revenue and make your business more successful. Thanks, Sean. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks everybody for coming. We really appreciate all the involvement. And as always, I'll send a recap with some of the resources we talked about. And this will also be on our YouTube that I do link at the reminders of the webinar in case you ever want to send it to somebody or reference it back.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, thanks, guys. Have a good day.
Bye, everyone.